I think we're live. I want to just share it in the group real fast. I tried to make the intro a little longer so I'd have time to share it, but no, of course, Facebook being Facebook.
I totally relate. I have my intro that is a 1 minute countdown, but I just adjust the speed of the seconds every time.
So I was playing around with it yesterday, and I really wanted to do that. I wanted to make it much longer, but it didn't work the way. Of course,
I've kidnapped Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, so he's in my room right now. I'll make sure that he fixes our reach.
I think we're shared now. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, world, and welcome to this V01 live session webinar, RocketHub, LoudEgg Joint Fest. Here we go. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. I'm joined by Karan, Parwani, as always, and the founders of V01, Alex Bacarella and Tuan Nguyen. Hopefully, I got your names right. How you guys doing today? Thanks for making time to do this session, discuss the V01 growth marketing tool. Very
absolutely excited. Joe. Thank you so much. It's a complete pleasure to be here with the squad. It's great to see people in the chat already popping in. I can see DS Wong, Vasetti, Yohinda. Lovely to see you all. Welcome. Hope you can all hear me loud and clear, and super hyped for a little event here tonight.
Hello.
Yep.
Antoine, how you doing over there?
I'm great, man. Super great. No, Alex and me just talked, and I've been since 48 hours down in Excel for our financial model for investors, and
wow,
shit on the other end.
You got to be a bit dizzy right now.
But no,
he's a treasurer. He's a treasurer.
Yeah.
It's a sunny day, but I haven't been outside yet.
It's a little cloudy here in New York. Where are you guys from, anyway?
Great question. So we met in Vietnam. I live in Vietnam, and Antoine's currently in Germany, Berlin.
Oh, Berlin! I want to go to Germany again. I love Germany. Germany. Very cool. Very cool. So let's get a backstory on V1. I think I was calling it version 1 at first. V01. It's V1, right?
You want to make it at this stage, Joe. V1 version 1. We probably jump between the names a little bit.
Will there be a version 2? I'm thinking right away. I see V1. Does that mean there's going to be a V2, a V3, a V1.5?
After the Google exit and the private jets, then we'll think about V2.
Nice, the V2. I like that. It could be like the iPhone. It'll keep growing.
Yeah, that's right.
V10 with the upgrade. I'm like, oh no, I got to update again.
There we go. No plans for a whole new suite or a whole new product, but obviously something that we'll iterate on for sure. I might kick off, Joe, with a little bit of an intro, maybe a little bit about me, a little bit about Antoine, and then we can dive into how we met.
Perfect.
And how the product got started.
Like it.
Super cool. So squad, lovely to meet you all here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex. I live in Vietnam, Australian born. And my background is very much in the growth marketing scene, more specifically within software startups. So I've spent the last decade or so working in growth marketing. Many of you may have seen me way back in the days with the SoFly team. So your Oxygen, Breakdance modules. And then shortly after that, I launched my own or co-founded a company called Web Studio, which we also launched here on RocketHub almost a year ago to date. And then 6 months ago, that's where I met Antoine. It's over on this side, here in Vietnam. And I might let him do his little intro first, and we can kick into the story. So Antoine, over to you, sir.
Thank you. So I'm Tuan. I'm from the Berliner startup crowd. And before that, I was, of course, in the German automotive industry because you know. Yeah, I think it's a good experience to be there. So okay, you shouldn't be there.
My dad was in the German automotive industry in
Oh, yeah,
Stuttgart.
yeah.
Stuttgart,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, me
Yeah.
too. I was there too.
Oh
good
my
job.
God, you gotta talk to my
Yes,
dad.
yes,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, so after that, joined the financial side for a little while. So I was in VC as well, and then now it's my like 4th year in startup, I would say. I joined two startups in Berlin. One quite small, like a growth phase startup, like Series A, B, and one super big, like Series D. And they hired 5,000 people and in 1 year, and it was super chaotic. And I scaled their a team from 3 to 30 within like 3 weeks or 4. It was super crazy. So long story short, end of last year, decided to do my own startup, travel to Vietnam, met Alex during an incubator program, and since then, super close to him, and pushing things forward with him. Now I'm back to Berlin, fundraising, and the whole story is going roller coaster.
That's great.
Super fun. Thanks, AT. I'll just do some quick hellos. Michael, so good to see you. Haven't heard from you in a little while. Welcome to the chat. Yep, great to see you again. And Mabel, we meet again. Mabel is the human that has asked me the most quality questions over live stream ever.
Mabel's everywhere. Mabel's everywhere. Yeah.
I love it. So anyway, so me and Antoine met here through a little incubator or accelerator. As he was saying, we met at an incubator or accelerator called Antler, which is pretty popular accelerator, I think, globally at this stage. We went through the eight-week program. It started off with me and a bit of an idea of what I wanted to build, or quite a fine idea of what I wanted to build. And meeting Antoine, and initially when we first met, we're like, look, we're probably going to build our own businesses. And then as we got to know each other, some drinking, some hanging out, started to figure out, hang on, we've got a really good both personality match, but also skills match. We should probably do something together, which then led to Alex trying to pitch Antoine and be like, hey man, this is what we should build. This is why. This is what I've been thinking about. This is what's happening in the space, which eventually and ultimately led to V01. The name started when good old Antler came up to us and was like, all right, what's the name of this company you guys are building? Started off initially as Ghost, because both of us were just like, what the fuck, we've got to give a name. I don't know what to give. And then after like 2 weeks of them calling us the Ghost team, we're like, what should we call this version 1 of a product? What should it be? What should the business name? What about version 1? And then we rolled with that. It's been super polarizing. People have either loved it or hated it, which is good in my books. And then eventually, step by step, research, homework, investors, all of that led us to where we are today. Faz, lovely to see you, man. I think man or madam.
I know sometimes I'm not sure.
I've seen Faz across the Facebooks. He's had some really good questions as well.
Yep.
And one more
that led us to here today. Sorry.
One more fun fact: the name Ghost. It's your dog's name, man.
It is. I didn't tell Anton that at the time. I must have been thinking about the doggo.
Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
That or a Call of Duty fan.
One of the two. There you go.
Call of Duty fan, man. Call of Duty fan over here.
Aaron Tosa, lovely to see you, man. Thanks also for all the good questions and comments that we've had over the last few days.
Are you getting any French comments from Francois here? Francois is pretty active in the groups.
Francois, bonjour. I have not. I grew up in Switzerland, so I grew up having French as like mother tongue, speaking that, and then over the last decade have not spoken a word of French, and it's now become a little bit more of a struggle.
My father is also like, he speaks French. Like our 4th language is French in the house.
Yes. No, that was awesome. But no, lovely to see you all in the chat. Too many bad connotations with the ghosted apps. Yes, no, let's not stick with that as a name. We've moved on. Doggo can stay as Ghosty, and we'll power through.
Yeah.
So what we might dive into, Joe, if it's cool with you, is I'm pretty keen to run the session today in like 2-3 parts. I'll give over the first like 15-ish minutes, I'm keen to do just a quick overview of what the product does, perhaps without getting into too much detail, too many granularities. Then be pretty interested in running through 2 use cases, one for marketers, one for agencies that I've got in mind today. From there, I'd be keen to do any other questions, Q&As, and then ultimately we can dive through perhaps some cost comparisons and why this makes sense versus what you'd be looking at to pay on a non-LTD in the market or something along those lines.
All right.
Sound good with you?
Yeah. Sound good with you guys? Everyone?
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Ngup's already asking Antoine if he can speak a little Vietnamese.
Yeah. Tam.
There we go. So Squad,
just live it.
sorry, Anton. Squad, throughout the presentation that I'm going to give you today, I'm not going to be referring to any white label dark stuff. We'll reserve a spot of that during the webinar where we just address all of that.
Yeah,
but
a lot of questions about that. We can do that towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Very open to that. Just so that I'm not jumping between what is, what isn't, why not through each of the things, and it can get a little bit confusing. But all right, we might kick things off from there. I'll start off with a little screen share, Joe, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, you could do the screen share, and then I have to put it on the stage, I believe.
Famous, get those cameras out. Let's move Facebook chat somewhere else. Abdullah, hello, welcome to the chat. And we're good to go. Alrighty, can you see what I can see? So you should see a Firefox tab with a few little tabs open at the top and an empty dashboard. Awesome. So Squad, when you purchase V01, actually, before I get into the direct demo, V01 is a growth marketing automation platform. It's a typical platform that combines a CRM and a bunch of automation tools, but it's built and designed around the growth marketing model, which is a model and a space that I've a fair bit of experience working in. And that model then operates over what's called the pirate model, which I will explain more in the future, but it's essentially getting your users from awareness to then acquiring them and pushing them all the way through to revenue and becoming advocates or referrers. So version 1 is a CRM/marketing automation tool that works around that model. And a lot of what I'm going to show you today will be geared towards that model. To add to this, I'm happy to answer any questions. If I go too deep or too far into the marketing talk, Joe, pull me out of it, or anyone in the chat, just be like, Alex, that's too much. Normal human brain, and then we'll kick things off from there. So landing on your dashboard, what you'll see at a glance when you first open the platform is something like this. So obviously this is almost a brand new account. I've just added a single lead to it, which you can see as direct traffic. But the goal of the dashboard is sort of 2 parts. One, it's to give you an sort of big picture overview of what's happening in your marketing. It's doing this on 2 fronts. It's looking at the amount of leads that you're getting. So these are the people that aren't yet your customers, right? They may have downloaded an ebook. They may have signed up to a newsletter. You've captured their information in one way or another. We'll go more into that in a bit. But these are the leads that you'll see on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, you have your users or your customers. The idea behind this is for you to get a quick snapshot of how many leads are coming in, because healthy marketing needs a healthy flow of leads. But then more importantly, how many of those converting to customers? What you can see then below this is an overview of where these leads and customers are coming from. So this gives it from a big picture, which are the sources are they coming into? So they via paid social, paid search, organic social, referral, direct traffic, and so on. When you land on this dashboard today, it's not customizable. In the very near future, you'll get a little button like you see I have on my screen here, which will allow you to edit the dashboard and then query any of the other data points that are stored against the contact and display that as a report. Now, this gives you the big picture level, but if we dive a little bit deeper, we can really drill down on every single individual contact's data points. You can get to things like, hey, tell me where Alex came from, like which individual Facebook ad or which individual type of copy did Alex sign up to, because then Alex became a high-paying customer. So I'll show you that a little bit more depth here. If we jump into the contact side of things, I've got our little Hello LoudEggs demo account that I've added to the system. And what you'll see on the left-hand side here is all of your basic CRM type data with your different fields that you get in the platform. This is what you would expect out of a CRM with custom fields that you can then change if you wanted to add additional fields. And as you scroll down, this is where things start to change and diverge from what you'll see from your typical CRMs. So you'll get a field here with your marketing data, and this will pull in essentially first source, last source, what were they, but it'll also pull in the exact UTM data from where they came from. This is the piece that allows you to look back historically and be like, hey, remember that one Facebook ad that I did that I think converted well, but I'm not too sure? Well, now you can go back and see exactly from that single ad how many users, and then in turn, how much revenue did that generate you. Scrolling down again, we'll see a little bit more of how this diverges from typical CRMs. You'll find journey stage, and this goes back to what I was referring to a little bit earlier, the growth marketing type model, where a lot of what we're building is around that pirate funnel or that growth model. And V1 is designed to be able to automatically move your users between those flows, because doing it yourself is cumbersome and complicated, and the tools in the market that do it at the moment only do it so-so. So that's the left-hand side that you'll see from the column here. In the middle, you just have an overview of the comms that are going out. So when you send emails out to them, if you wanted to drill down on an individual's contacts experience with you, you'll get that in the center here. You can see here it's just created an opportunity because LoudEgg signed up as a new user. And then on the right-hand side here, you'll see a historical sort of analytics of what that person has been doing with the platform, whether that's your booking pages, your emails, or the website forms where they sign up. You can see here in my little test account, I hit a little copy backup page that I was testing on. I then signed up, I revisited the page, I refreshed a bunch of times to make sure it wouldn't break for the stream, and then I came back here today. So we've taken then, looking at the dashboard side, which is very much big picture overview of everything that's going on, then drill down to the sort of most micro that we want to get, which is on an individual contact or an individual user in your database. What are all of the data points that we can then automate from or report from? What I'll dive into next is a quick overview of then the automations piece. And this is where really that growth marketing funnel comes into play. So, beep, boop, beep, boop. Here we go. So when you dive into your automations, you'll see a couple of categories. What I'm going to walk you through first is the growth flows. So the AAARRR, which stand for awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and referral. Spelled out, it says R sounds like a pirate, therefore pirate model. So I'll just keep referring it to as the pirate model here today. But the pirate model is something super popular. It's adopted by I'd say a good majority of your scale-ups, so startups that have grown, the types of like Duolingo, Netflix, all of the big companies that you see on a day-to-day basis, they run a pirate type model internally. V1 then aims to take your users, move them between that pirate model without you having to create enter, exit flows, and things that you need to then change and customize every single time you want to make a change to your journey. If I jumped into an example of an acquisition flow here, I've got one that we've got in progress. This will be out next week, but we'll go more to that in a second. A typical acquisition flow, this flow looks like, hey, a user is signing up as a lead to our platform. We want to identify what do they care about, what type of comms, so that we can then put them in even more personalized flows down the road. The platform will start, send them a first email, wait for it to be opened. Once it is opened, we'll start looking at what did they click on, what did they not click on, so that the next comms are then personalized to what is of interest to that individual user. I'm sure if you have an e-com store, if you run an agency, or even if you're a SaaS company, you'll have use cases where you have more than one core problem that you solve. I take this for V1 for example. Our core problem that we solve is scaling the growth journey or the growth funnel, but that's not the main thing that necessarily everyone in the call are interested in today. And I don't want to be telling you guys always about the pirate model if you're just interested in email blasts, waitlist flows, nurture journeys, or something completely different.
But I want to be a pirate.
But you can be a pirate with me, Joe, any day.
Yes.
So within these flows, this is all fully customizable. You don't need to add any additional code to them. Editing the emails is the same. So everything comes pre-populated with templated emails that you can quickly jump in, change your own brand, customize however you want. or you can even use GPT to analyze the data that comes through these flows and then feed that data into additional flows or additional places. I'll go more into the email builder a little bit next, or potentially next, as I show you a more simpler use case. But what I'd probably get to with the growth funnel or the pirate flows is this is potentially one of the more complex or more advanced use cases that you'll end up growing into. This is also a big part of why we built V1, because we looked at platforms like your Gists, your HubSpot, who was another popular one. We looked at Salesforce, Pipedrive, all these different platforms. And we're like, okay, great. Day one, I'm a baby startup. I don't necessarily need the advanced growth marketing today. But what happens in 6 months' time down the road where the company grows and then I do need it? What's it going to cost me? How's it going to be implemented? And how does these things look like at scale? Something that is either super, super, super expensive with some platforms like your HubSpots of the world, where you'll quickly go from, I don't know, your startup package, which is like a 95% discount, $20 a month, to 1 year into that contract and your bill jumps from the $10-20 a month all the way to $600 a month, like that. And that's one of the use cases, or one of the things that we got caught up in. It was like, no, we don't want to go through that shit show again, where moving all of our data to another place is hard. Let's solve that. Getting a little bit deeper here, taking a little bit of a step back before I go deeper into the growth marketing stuff, I might jump through a few quick questions, Joe, as a quick reset, and then we'll jump into the next use case. Inderpreet, great question. Do we have custom fields and custom values? Yes, absolutely. I'll show you this directly live. So we have custom fields. To jump into the settings, you'll find customs here. We also have custom values or lead scoring. So you can manage all three from the three settings here. You can organize them, you can categorize them. We will also have custom objects coming ideally before the end of this year, if all goes to plan, and that will allow another, without getting into too much detail, another vertical of scalability in your data type infrastructure. Good question, very good question. Please share more about the future roadmap. How long will they be implemented? DS Wong, great question. We might jump onto the roadmap stuff next after we go through a bit of the platform demos. That way it's just a little bit more separated, but no problem at all. Do we have a custom app? Is it possible to integrate to white label it? So Inderpreet, no options to white label at the moment. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by the custom app, but I'm assuming you mean in terms of integration on that front. So we do have a Zapier app, which is available at the moment. And if you jump over to our help desk, we also have tutorials on, beep, boop, beep, boop. I'll show you this in a sec. So just help.v1.tech, head over to integrations, and you'll see our initial integrations that we've got here. So Zapier, Pabbly, V1 Forms, Webhook, and RB2B. We release more of these on a weekly basis too. The integrations piece, the new use case piece, and the template piece is what you're going to see the most of in the first couple of weeks post-deal. And then as we approach towards the back end of the year, comms slow down, marketing slows down a little bit, we'll refocus on feature prioritization. But very good question. Can we expect the addition of AI voice and flow? Yes, you can. So Aaron Toza, AI voice is something that we're working on at the moment with or alongside phone and SMS functionality. There are some caveats to this. We wanted to have it live before we did the RocketHub deal, but it wasn't fleshed out nice enough or in a position that I felt comfortable giving it to everyone without hand-holding. So we've delayed it a little bit. It's the first thing that we're working on the roadmap post-launch, which is essentially SMS integration, which will come within the phone side, and then your WhatsApp integration. That will sort of be a first step that we be put into workflows and automations. From there, we'll then look into the future. I don't have a hard line in the sand yet on if we start doing things like the ability to do AI voice calls, or how deep that side of things will go. That'll be something that we look at with users as well as roadmap. Can we attach AI voice platform like Insighto, Vapi, Synthflow AI? Yes, I would expect so. So I don't know any of those platforms off the top of my head. What I can say, something that we should expect to have towards the beginning of next year, is access to the platforms that integrate with Go High Level or Lead Connector, the ability to also for you to be able to integrate them with V1. That's part of the benefit of using them as the boilerplate that we started with. We'll go into more of that in a little bit when we tackle that as a topic. If they have an integration on that side, that integration will be done for V1. If none of them have an integration for that side, we will have a provider that you can integrate with V1. Do we need to import these contacts into V1 or any other way? Yes. Let me try and pronounce your name right the first time. Yohinda?
Joginder.
Joginder. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Joginder. Yes. So there's a couple of ways to integrate. Same thing. I'll take you back to the integrations tab here. But if you're just getting started and you want your contacts into V1, I'll show you exactly how to do it. We'll do this quickly together on the screen. So if you jump over to your contacts tab, the contacts tab will have the option to import any of your contacts from a CSV file. Essentially, you just upload your CSV file. If you have any fields that aren't yet in V1, go ahead and create those fields first. And then when you upload the CSV, it's just a simple, this field maps to this one, this field maps to this one, and then you can upload your entire database that way. Also documents on how to do that in the help desk if you need any assistance. Once they are uploaded, you want your new contacts to be coming into V1. Now, this will depend on what type of business model and what type of platform you're running. If you're doing something more along the lines of like an agency platform where you'll typically have booked call, like meeting calls, as well as a form that users submit, you can either integrate from your existing tools and run them straight into V1 over something like Zapier or webhooks. Again, tutorials in the help desk. Or you can directly inject V1 forms onto your own website. And this might be a really good sort of pivot or transition into the form side because they're a little bit different from your typical forms that you have on every site builder. Beep, boop, beep, boop. So I'm going to give you an example with this here. And I'm going to show you this live in action as well so we can see what it looks like on a real website with an actual use case. So if you jump into your forms in V1, it's a separate little tab here, you'll see a template or a folder category for campaign forms. These are the templates that we're uploading from when we create like bigger use cases. So for example, if we looked into this at the moment, you'll see that there is a waitlist template that is light and dark. Alongside that waitlist template, you also have your waitlist flows, your waitlist emails. All those are templated and ready to roll out when you are. What we're going to look at today is just this LoudEgg demo, but essentially to get there, just create a new form. And once you have your form opened up, you'll see a couple of things that are a little bit different from your typical site builder or form builder. So you have your typical stuff, top left here, or first name, last name, email, the option to add any of your other fields to a typical form, or the option to add or create custom fields that you want to add to the form. Cool, easy, makes sense. Alex, what are you on about? This is normal. What about these hidden fields? So you can see along all of our forms, we have hidden fields for all of our UTMs as well as our base source data. What this will do, this is the piece that allows you to automatically connect and track down to a single contact and down to a single campaign or message or any of those UTM tags. UTMs are like marketing tracking things. They're pretty standard. It's what you see in URLs at the end of a URL where there's a bunch of random numbers and question marks and stuff like that. These get automatically picked up by the platform. You can also create additional custom ones if you want, and they'll store that against the user. That means everyone signing up to a form or signing up to your website through a V1 form, that data will get created then as a contact, so as a new user in your platform. And any future activity can be managed and run directly through V1. And then any future activity they do on your website can also be seen directly through V1. So if we had a look at this LoudEgg one here and that example I was giving you earlier, you can see Mr. LoudEgg, who was a fake Alex or cloned Alex, has visited the page a bunch of times and submitted a form. Which form did they submit? They submitted that one that I was just showing you before. And where does that live? That just lives on a sample little landing page that I've put together here. So you can see I've got, this is an old version of our website landing page that I've used as a sample. And if we go down here, request early access, this will pop up with a little form. You can see it's pre-filled because it knows who it is already, but it's pre-filled it with hello, or first name, last name, email, which is the base fields that I requested. And if I submit this, if I came here from an ad or from anywhere that had any marketing type data, that attribution would automatically be picked up and stored again against your contact in the platform. So circling all the way back, how do we get our users into V1, or how do we get additional contacts into V1? First time, contact upload. You can do that over a CSV. Don't want to be doing that all the time, but you can if you want to manually update them. You can always do that over CSV too. And then once you've got your database in the system, any new interaction with any other parts of the platform will create a contact. And then any integration with the integrations that we have listed on our help desk or through the form or social media or your calendar will then also generate them as a contact. Alrighty, Joe. Thank you, sir. Back to you. Very good. I can't do the accent.
Wait, there he is. Do you want to go through some more questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one more demo use case example that we can go through next, but I think that might flow in through the questions automatically, like this last example was. Is there a webhook to send my info to my CRM? Francois, yes, sir. So if you jump into automations, beep, boop, give it 1 second. I think I have an example here with the data automation, or maybe I don't. Yes, short answer is yes. Just set up an automation under, I'd probably categorize that under your data automation, unless it's just for a specific campaign, then put it under campaigns. But essentially, as a trigger for your automations, you can use a webhook. And what that will do is it allows you to receive all of your JSON data over webhook, and then you can divide and pass that data however you want within the platform. So you may want to just pull out first name, last name, email, usage statistics, journey stage maybe, but you can really pull in and out anything you want. So just go up here, search for a webhook. You can add that will give you the webhook URL. And then from here, you can then, whenever that data comes in, you can start breaking it down, sending it however you want, passing it through GPT or any of the alternatives. Same-ish thing applies for your Zapier integration and any other future integrations that we flesh out, like your Pabbly, Make, I'm sure there's many, Albato, that will eventually come. Once it's integrated, that data will be pulled into the platform directly. And then if you didn't want to send it over webhook, you could just, the data's already there. Let's just run an automation when a contact gets updated. So do I have an example here? I might just jump back into one that has a proper example so I can show you this. Hopefully not too scary. The Journey Manager. Now, I'm not going to cover
this is the best automation across.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any of these over a call, but I'm going to do a dedicated video on this because it's rather complex. But this is the core piece that moves a lot of your user data around the platform inside of V1 and also updates things like where they are in their different stages, how much value they're worth, feeds back to Facebook's API for it to know, okay, that user converted or didn't, and so on. But you
should rename this as money in the bank automation.
I'll change the star to a little money icon. But essentially you can see here, this automation that we run triggers in two ways. One, it triggers on contact changed or contact created. Set up this way so that it also takes into account any other variable of contact change or created. So that could be over webhook, over API, which is coming a little bit later in the year, or over Zapier or any of the other integrations. They'll be picked up by automations like this. And you can just then choose, hey, contact has changed, but I want to know specifically what has changed to run that automation. And it's really, you can get as granular as you want and you can build as much as you want on top of it. Do we have to bring our own SMTP for email marketing? Abdelaziz, great question. So 2 ways that you can do this. One, you can use our SMTP for email marketing. For lifetime deal holders, okay, so a little bit of a caveat and why we're doing it this way. We've all seen the startups over the last 2 weeks. There's been a not phenomenal because it's a good thing. There's been a lot.
There's been a lot going on. Yeah.
Heavy-hearted emails.
A lot of heavy hearts.
Joe is saying I can write a book. I'm writing a book right now.
Yeah. Gonna make a movie, a Netflix movie.
Yeah. Karan, starring Karan, man. No, look, the reason why it's either bring your own SMTP or pay as you go SMTP is because these are one of the functionality that costs us on a per usage basis. So with V1, essentially, you can expect any features that get developed from today into the future that don't have an ongoing cost to the business or a large ongoing cost to the business or per use ongoing cost to the business. There's always some costs. They will be given to all LTD holders, included as free updates forever. That's also totally normal in my book. And I think if you look at some of the old deals that we've run before, you'll see a similar behavior or similar patterns. We don't want to go under though in 2 years' time. So shit that costs us money if you decide to become a giant company, that's where we're a little bit more careful. So SMTP, the usage will always be at cost for lifetime deal holders. So again, I'll just refer back to the docs. We've got a little category called our RocketHub partnership. And here we'll be adding anything else relevant to the RocketHub deal. But from here, you'll see essentially what the pay-as-you-go rates are. And this will be a good transition into what those rates would look like if you use a competing platform. So if you do decide to use our SMTP server, I forgot who asked the question, but it was a great question, then you'll be paying a total of 0.00007 cents, dollars, per email. But that works out for about $10, that works out about 14,000 emails. If you already have your own email server and you want to keep using that email server, no problem at all. We'll just take out our one and allow you to add your own one. All that you need to do is jump over to the email page. So your settings, you can do this in a couple of ways, but jump over to settings, email services, and then from here, just open up the little help desk chatbot support thing. And you can submit a ticket. We will just switch out, just give us the SMPT details, ask the chatbot, it will tell you exactly what you need to give us. And then you submit that, we'll then go on the back end and update your account with your own SMTP. But again, like I said earlier, if you don't have one, cheapest rates in the industry, but essentially you pay what we pay. Great question. Faz. Have you locked the snapshot and workflows to that your IP for product can't be copied to other GHL accounts? We have. We have what we may do in the future. Now, this is something that we haven't decided on yet. It depends on where the demand goes, what market decides, and what types of requests are. If there continues to be a large amount of requests for more agency type things, it's unlikely that we move that far away from our core customer, which is your typical scale-up software company. What we will do in those cases is we'll set up things in a way so that agencies that also use high-level can use V1 functionality inside of their own clients' high-level accounts. It's something that we've explored a little bit internally as an option for agencies, should that be something that becomes highly requested. And if not, there probably won't be snapshots or ability for you to clone things into different accounts. We'll see how things go on that front. Yup, back again with another awesome question. Can I use it for real estate use case, or does it only support SaaS users? No, yup, it support real estate also works super, super well. I'll give you an example next in this next use case on how you might want to use this for real estate. I think it's a similar type use case you'd be looking at for agencies as well, because you're both waiting for contact, reaching out to clients, they're booking time with you, and then you're doing something with them, more or less. So I'll show you that in just a second. For the rest of the crew in the crowd here today, V1 markets itself as a SaaS first company, like for software companies or for SaaS startups. That is part of our MRR play, part of our way to get into market, part of our road to investment, funding, VCs, and all of that stuff. We have software companies or SaaS as our ICP type customer. That doesn't mean it's the only use case, but it tends to be the more complex of use cases, which is what we're building around, which can then be translated to just about anyone who has a less complex use case. Nguyen also asked, is it GDPR compliant before I go into this next demo? Yes, it is, provided that you also stay GDPR compliant. So all the data is stored in servers in Europe. This plays into two parts. There's some data that gets stored on the lead connector side. They have their own servers and their own GDPR compliance. They're also like 1,200 times the size that we are today. So I have no worries about them. On our front, we store all of our data out of Germany with servers hosted by Supabase. So it's pretty straightforward. It's also fully GDPR compliant. As long as you're not doing illegal GDPR stuff, everything is compliant.
Behave out there.
Someone is automating like selling drugs.
Oh yeah. Look, yeah. I could go into this very, very far, but I'll stop it now. All right,
That'll be the after show.
Yes, that's right. When we pop out the beers and sojus.
Yeah, the after party. That's when the real stories come out.
I'd be so down to do that, Joe, if you wanted to do like a monthly after hours behind the scenes in the SaaS world.
Yeah, behind the curtains. Yeah. SaaS behind the curtain.
Yes, sir. I'm going to follow up with you on this, Joe, because the more I think about this, the more I'm like, hang on, there's so many things that this makes sense.
It could turn into a documentary. It'd be great.
There we go. Back to Netflix. That's the exit.
LTD Flix.
V2, unbranded. Sorry, getting distracted. Use case for agencies. That's what I wanted to show you today. So I'm assuming this is a similar use case for agencies, for real estate owners, and for startup founders like ourselves. Have you ever found yourself, so I used to run an agency way back before I got into startups. How many times do you find yourself with a customer and they're like, cool, let's meet up. And you're like, yeah, cool, let's meet up. And then you're like, well, how about next Tuesday? They're like, no. How about next Thursday? You're like, no, I can't do that. Here's 3 times that I'm available. And then they give you 3 other times and you bounce back and forth and eventually they get fed up and they stop talking to you. That type of use case happens to us more frequently than I'd want to, especially for us dealing with, your little eggshell investors that have little time and attention spent. We want to get a meeting booked as fast as possible. That's the first thing that we want to solve. Then Alex thought, that's it. It's done. They've got the meeting link. They book their call. Checks it. We're all sorted. But then they don't rock up to the call. Humans need a lot. Yes, they need nurturing. They need reminders. They need you to tell them that they missed the call. They need guilt tripping and so many other things. So here's an example that you can run with V1 to solve this sort of end-to-end. So you go to sleep and you just send out your meeting link whenever you need to. I'm going to give you this example. I'll show you what it looks like on the live site. And again, any of this can be customized, can be tailored, can be rebranded, recolored to whatever you want. But on our little sample landing page here, we've got a little demo button. I click on this book a demo button, it will take me to the onboarding or the book a demo call for V1. Now, this calendar is a calendar that is linked to V1, it's built in V1, it is linked to my Google Calendar, and it will check for my availability based on my calendar. So I'm never getting double meetings booked. So if I come here and I say, hey, let's book a little call for the 10th, and I go out and fill out all the details here, that will then book a meeting in my calendar. So it solves that first part, right? Of jumping back and forth between customers and when's the time? I don't know. No. Here's my calendar link, figure out a time. Piece of cake. The next step is we need to get them to show up. So once you get
there's
a meeting
feature that someone goes to their door, knocks on their door and says, come on, show up to the meeting.
Yes.
Does V1 have that? Not yet.
Yes. Okay, so it doesn't have it as a really good templated thing that we have out of the box, but that will be one of the template use cases that we release over the coming days and weeks. But let me show you this because I only prepared it for this call, before the call. You can go and you can set up. So in this account, like I said earlier, it's a fresh account. I don't have anything set up in here, but you can go into your calendar settings in V1. From here, you can create a calendar. You can set the time zone, the availability of that calendar. You can link it to your own social media, your own 365 or Google Calendar so that you're not having any conflicts. And then what will happen is if anyone ever books your calendar through the Google side, or if they book the calendar through the calendar link that you have generated through V1, that will create that person as a contact. Remember what I was telling you about a little bit earlier in the call, where I was highlighting the importance of all this marketing data and having all of the data points that you can actually run automations on. Well, if they fill out the meeting form through the if they fill out the meeting booking call They get generated as a contact. That contact then tracks all of their history, all of the other interactions you might have. The meeting is then booked. You can then run automations from this contact who has booked a call to send them an email a few days before, a day before, an hour before, 5 minutes before, to get them to rock up to the call. And then if they don't rock up to the call, you can then run more automations to be like, hey, bro, you booked time, you didn't show up, that wasn't so cool. Or like we use in our use case for our investors, hey, thanks for the time, big smiles, here's our pitch deck, here's our financial docs, here's everything that you need to know before we take things to a next step and perhaps a rebooking link to our calendar.
And the calendar's synchronized. So if I've had problems with other platforms where I have it booked on the Google Calendar, but then it doesn't block out on the app calendar, or vice versa.
Yes. Two-way synchronization between Google and Outlook. So 365 and Workspace accounts. Yeah. Whether you book directly a meeting in Workspace, that will then populate into V1. Or if you book through V1 or through the V1 booking module, that will then populate.
Just want to confirm, because that's huge, because a lot of platforms miss on that.
Yeah. So circling all the way back to 7 minutes ago with Nyap's awesome question, that would be a good use case, I'd say, for a lot of real estate type companies or agencies, or anyone who has to do meetings and meet with clients, as a way to bridge that back and forth for meetings, but then more importantly, perhaps to get them to actually rock up to the call, and then to automate actions beyond that call.
Nice. This way they don't ghost you.
That's it. Joe, I'll take it back to more questions. Indra Pete with another awesome question. Will the opportunity updated on AI voice agents in workflow? I'm not sure I fully understand this question, but let me reiterate what I've understood and I can answer to that. So will an opportunity or a pipeline item be created based on AI agents that are in the workflow? The short answer, Indra Pete, is yes. The longer answer is we're super early on in this piece. Keep an eye out on the roadmap, the updates, the community over the coming weeks. I would say, like I said a little bit earlier, the next 2 months or so is going to be heavily focused on use cases and getting you guys as much value as possible, as fast as possible. But then as we approach the end of the year, that will also coincide to the time that we're closing our cap raise and getting bigger investment money in, therefore bringing in more of the engineering team, in which case you'll start to see more AI type first developments. A place that I'm super keen to get the platform to, and this is still, I think, an 18-month down the line type thing, is essentially you should be able to open up V1 and the platform tells you exactly what's working, what's not, how to fix it, and then asks you if you want it to go and fix it for you. Plain truth is, there are way too many data points that we collect for any one individual human to be able to analyze, especially as you start to scale these types of things. But an AI can. And so ultimately, you won't be able to get better results than a model that's trained on your own data over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of campaigns that continuously tests, updates, and iterates. And again, taking that back to that growth type model. François, could we use Makeforms to be connected to V1? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So with Makeforms, you've got two ways that you can integrate them. The first, two easy ways. I'm assuming they have a built-in Zapier integration. Yep, Karan's
Yep, they have.
Awesome.
Yep.
If you have never touched a line of code in your life, that is probably the easiest way to integrate it. So just set up your trigger from Makeforms on Zapier. And then as a step 2, just check our help desk. Go find the Zapier article. There's a step-by-step guide on how to integrate from there. And you'll find the V1 app through Zapier.
They have Zapier, they have PabbG as well. So if you use both of them, you are good. Yeah.
Exactly. Alternatively, as we were talking about earlier, François, the webhooks, inbound webhooks, outbound webhooks, they're ready to go as well. Where are the data and server geolocalized? It must be RGPD. I like this. GDPR for European users. All the data is stored out of Europe. All of our data is stored out of Germany, and then what we license is also stored out of Europe.
Francois would be like relaxed right now. Oh my God, it's Europe finally.
Yeah, good time zone. Do you provide custom webhooks as in bigger options only, Alex? No, we provide custom webhooks. I'm assuming you're as in bigger options only. No, webhooks are available across all the tiers. As a general rule with LTDs, I like everyone has the same features. New features get given to everyone. The only difference is in the contact limit, as well as, what was the other difference? Oh, and seats.
Seats.
Yeah. Aaron Tosa, hope I pronounced your name correctly, back with another great question. Do you intend to allow third-party tools integrations via API key without needing Zapier or Make? Implemented following users to vote. Yes, this is one of the first things that we're going to be looking at in Q4/Q1 next year. Essentially, the first task of each engineer as they come on board is to build a new integration. It's a great way to onboard new engineers and to get them across our platform and how it works, and engineer brains. So a lot more of those will be coming. We will also have our own APIs that you can use. At the moment, we don't have them publicly available. If you really, really need to use some, hit me up and I can help you out on a one-to-one, assuming that we're not spending hours and hours and hours together on calls, because I have 101 people in the community. But yes, for the future, for APIs and other integrations beyond the ones that we have live today.
Yep.
Can we have a trigger like make a call trigger and a lifetime? So in the if we do add the make a call triggers, they will be available for lifetime deal users as well on a pay-as-you-go or bring your own type model. So yes, 100%. Keeping in mind the platform as a whole, right? So I'd probably explain this sort of horizontally and then vertically. So horizontally, we want to cover the bare bones, the minimum of both a marketing and a sales first CRM. Because if we don't, people are just not going to use us, especially the MRR type customers, right? So it needs to be able to do all of your basics from your email blasts, your interactions, tracking your contacts, segmentation, and then being able to log calls and things like that, like your typical sales CRM. What we specialize and what we're really focused on expanding and growing is that growth side. So that's the vertical. That will be your automated flows, but then as we look into the future, the ability to get AI to implement new flows, like true personalization at scale, and then better ways to implement growth hacks or growth experiments so that you can really have a growth type mindset where it's like levers. We can start split testing and running bigger things as you scale with the platform. Is there an AI to analyze the data? There is, Phil. I can show you this live on the call here. So if I jump into automations, I'll just pick one of the ones that we've got live here at the moment. I think I might have a demo here with this as well. Okay, so here, let me give you a little use case for a sample awareness flow. Now, awareness is a little bit weird. It's often not considered as, for a lot of companies, in part of their growth or pirate model, but really because generally in the awareness stage, you don't have user data, right? They haven't given you their email address. They haven't signed up to the platform yet. You don't necessarily know who they are. In our case, we're starting to get there, and I think you'll see tools change towards this in the future as well. What this flow does and what it looks at is essentially it is looking at specific triggers on your Facebook and Instagram posts when people comment a certain phrase, a certain keyword, and it can look at this across multiple pages. I don't think, I'll have to double check groups, but I don't think it can do groups anymore because Meta API.
Yeah, they block the groups.
Yeah. But essentially it will look at you, the people that are commenting, and then what you can do from there is you can feed that data into GPT and be like, hey, analyze this data with GPT. You can give it a custom prompt. Please work. Here we go. You can give it a custom prompt and say, hey, analyze this data, do X, Y, Z with it. And then it will publish a response to that question with the analyzed previous comment. Second use case that you can also use GPT to analyze your data is if you're just feeding in complex webhook data, JSON data that's completely unorganized. You can also then run that data into GPT, ask it to extract certain things, and then feed that into the correct places. Again, this is probably just the first version of this iteration. This is really what we got out of the box. But this is something that we will be working on a lot more in the future, probably later during the year next year, as we build things up a little bit further. But I hope that answers the question on analyzing with GPT, and a little example of how you can use a workflow and automation during the awareness stage. Is the SMTP the same as Lead Connector? Yes, it is. That's correct, Phil. So the one that you used out of the box is the same one as the Lead Connector one. Ryan, my man, good to see you. Will these templates be constantly updated with new or better flows or automation types? Yes, sir, they will. At the moment, we're committed to a new release every week. We're trying to make an as good use case as possible every week. We're in week 2 of this, and I'm already seeing some issues with that, not in the front and the side that we don't want to do new workflows, but there are some delays and things that happen. So what I would say is on average, you'll be getting a new template, use case, or growth hack on a weekly basis. There may be some weeks where we go 1 week with none and the next week with 2. Sometimes, like in the one that we're working on this week, we're waiting on the devs to fix something with the Shopify integration, because the upcoming or this week's use case was supposed to be retargeting abandoned checkouts, which is why I actually have a sample flow inside of here. Shopify cart abandonment recovery.
It's one of the most requested ones in the Shopify and e-commerce. So it is the cart abandonment. So
yeah, I was surprised that Shopify doesn't make it super easy to just edit your emails, that like in the types of reminders that you want to send out and then pushing them through a flow. But it's almost there. It should be live as soon as we get the fix through, then this will go live. So Ryan, to answer your question, yes, every week, new stuff. Phil, how long has V01 been running? Phil, about 6 months now. I might confirm with Antoine. We met in April, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around that. So Phil, full time, we've been working on it from, I'd say, late April. We both work on this full time as well. So this is the only business that we're in. There is no other option than making this work and making a killing.
You still get some dividends from Web Studio. Yes.
No, we won't talk about that. No. Web Studio is also great. I still have a great relationship with them. It's an awesome product, and I'm still a big advocate and fan. Achievely, I'm super late. And I'm late to read the rest of your message, but that's okay. Is this an ESP or more cold outreach? I find you can't really do both when it comes to mail delivery. You are so this is more of the closest you could tie this to is your journey automation, I would say. So your email nurturing, more ESP type things. You can do transactional emails through the platform if you want to do transactional too. I would avoid doing cold at volumes. Because it's not something that we're going to build towards in the future. There's 101 dedicated cold email platforms out there. Use them. There are use cases for you to run semi-cold automations. So an example was the RB2B use case that we released last week, which essentially analyzes your website's anonymous visitors to figure out exactly who they are so that you can then put them into nurture flows and automations. That is a use case that you can use, although it is somewhat cold. We build the templates in line with that type of cold outreach. But again, it's not massive volumes, so you don't need to worry so much about the things like your email warm-ups and continuously rotating inboxes, bringing in your own Gmails and things of that nature. Karan, tell me, how do I pronounce this lovely person's name?
Sahinur.
Sahinur, thank you. Sahinur, how advanced segmentation works? Is it manual or an automated process? So it's up to you, actually. So you can create segments. I'll show you this live. You can create segments as you're going that will automatically update. So this is, I'd say, close to what HubSpot has with, I think they call them dynamic lists, or maybe they just call them lists, and the other one they call them static lists. So this is close to HubSpot lists. So what you could do from here is, let me create a filter. Let's say I want it to be by tag, and I want to only segment for all the users that have been tagged as an actual user. Click on this, apply, and then I can save this as then a segment. From this segment, I can then run just direct like marketing email blasts to them. I can create custom audiences from this segment, or I can use anything else that exists within the automations. If I save this as a smart list, this will then become a more dynamic segment. So whenever anyone else qualifies for the same rules that you've used for that segmentation, they'll automatically be added into this list. That covers advanced segments. You can segment on literally any data point. What are the blasts in your platform? Inderpreet back with another incredible question. So I'm going to show you this, man. Let me show you. Let's combine this into two parts. I'm going to show you what a step-by-step basic journey would look like for something like a waitlist, for example. I don't know. I'm about to launch a new product. I'm about to launch a new service. I want to build up some leads and some users into that before I go to launch it so that I launch it and I've got some traction ready to go. If you jump into your automations, you'll then find your campaigns. And then inside of your campaigns, you'll find the different templates that we've created. So we've got a simple sample launch waitlist one here. From here, what this is looking at is essentially anyone who signs up to that waitlist form. I don't know if you remember, a little bit earlier on in the video, we went into forms. I was showing you the campaign forms, and there was a waitlist form there. So if you embed that form onto your waitlist page, this automation then targets anyone signing up to that form. Change this if you want to change this. Again, anything can be customized. And then this will run an automated step-by-step, rather simple blast day by day to warm your users up to your new product. Again, this is, as I believe, a 14-day, 2-week waitlist. All of the emails are completely templated in a way that you can just jump in and you can customize them to your own brand. But the structure and the way that you would deliver a nurturing waitlist is preset and ready to go out of the box. Now, if you wanted to do, just say, a blast to your database to send them to that waitlist, you can do a similar thing. I think I have the template preset in this account. Give me one sec. Here we go. Yep. So we'll just create a new blast from a template flow. Let's just do, I don't know, set expectations email. Let's assume that we've already got a waitlist and we just want to send a blast to these guys. Same thing here. We've got a sample little email builder. You can drag in and drop whatever you want. You can add split tests to it if you wanted to do some A/B testing. And then when you go to schedule, it's as simple as going send or schedule, set it to either go out now, schedule in batches if you're doing it to a big list, who it's coming from, send a name, everything that you would expect when you do an email blast. Your segmentation, back to, I forgot who asked the question earlier, but if you did want to target one of those segmented lists, you can target that here. Yes, that's right. Sahinua. And do you want to do any tracking on those? From there, you'll get your expected email metrics out of the back of this as well. I don't have a sample, unfortunately, in this account because it's a new account. But when you do send an email blast, you'll then have all of your typical or expected email stats on that. So your open rates, who opened, who clicked, bounce, spam, reports, any of those things, unsubscribes, and so on. Phil's asking me, do we have agency clients as well? We got our first agency client this week, actually, our first MRR agency type customer.
Man, congrats.
Nice.
Thank you. So we do, Phil, they don't white label the products though. It's probably a whole other discussion on what types of agencies like to have their own branded stuff versus the ones that are happy to use and leverage other people's brands. But this guy, the agency that we brought on in question was a sort of enterprise level or more senior type agency. They tend to work with your much bigger companies. They were perfectly fine with it not being white labeled. So they just pretty much went through almost the same thing as you guys go through with the LTD deal, except for they went through the website, they picked a plan, they signed up, and they've started their trial this week with their first customer. Interpret back with another awesome question. Is it possible to work with your team?
He's a great guy, Interpret. Great guy.
I love this, man. Yes, yes. So what I would say is hiring from the community is definitely the first thing that we do as we approach hiring in the different roles. What we're looking at towards the end of this year, in the first part will be more on the more senior front. We're hiring our sort of CTO, head of AI side as engineers as we close our funding. Once that's sorted, then we're looking at sort of, again, level 2 and 3, so more manager, experienced marketers and sales, mixed-ish type roles to help support me and Antoine so that we're not the only two people that are always boots on the ground. And then we'll be supplementing the rest with a lot of level 1 type contractor or freelancer work as well. For the most part, other than the level 1s that are in marketing or in engineering, I'm pretty keen on having level 1s in Vietnam, so I can be here with them. And I also like the idea of building a Wolf of Wall Street like vibe company where it's completely whack and chaos and crazy every day.
Invite me to the yacht. Let me come on the yacht.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe is the first guy, man. For that position.
No, absolutely, man. Both me and Antoine.
And Joe, and if you look closely, Joe looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. If you know.
Yeah, right. Maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we transferred your glasses over, then we can make some good connections. Bring out the what are they?
I just started wearing glasses like last couple of months. I'm going blind.
I like it. It was good for me when I was fat. Now I'm getting not so fat. So
see, now I'm getting fat, so it's helping, but I need bigger glasses.
That's it. Yeah, you'll be like me.
I want to wear goggles. I need goggles.
100%. Yeah, no, back to, I'll just wrap up that work question. So me and Antoine both come from a startup environment that's like, just like what you see in Hollywood, like the most wild shit you could possibly imagine. We're both super keen to replicate that type of experience within the working environment at V1 until we're forced to make it boring and enterprise like every company eventually has to become.
Yeah.
But for the first 3, 4, 5 years, it's definitely going to be a crazy environment, and we're not bound to any one location. It's really the best talent gets in, that motivated, wants to work with us. And
let me know when you establish the New York City location or the Hamptons location, and I can
absolutely.
I could be the doorman.
No, I think we should add a late note beside make and Pably. So what we'll probably do is we will definitely be doing a more native make and Pably setup, similar to what we have for Zapier at the moment. For all of the other integration platforms, because there are quite a few. So like your late node, EasyFlow, Active Pieces, N8N, Albato types of the world, and every 101 new one that gets released on AppSumo over the next 2 years will either have an easy way for you to integrate like we do right now with webhooks, and that works well with them, and that we have training tutorials so that anyone can go and just set it up for themselves. Or, as I was saying a little bit earlier, if there's enough demand for that platform in particular, and there's a good use case for the business, it's something that we'll use for each engineer as they come on board as their first project to get across the platform, as well as the audience and the use cases. Sorry, got the hiccups. Sorry, I'm sneezing, I mean. Is it possible to use WordPress and e-commerce? Yes, sir, provided you use the integration methods that we have above. So if you're using WordPress, same thing as what I've got set up at the moment with our form that I just showed you on the website. So this one, no, not that one. This one that we had here, you scroll down and this little pop-up opens up. Oh, no, that's not the right example. Come on, Alex, you can do this. You're a live streamer. Okay, so like this, where you have an integration or a form on your website, that data then feeds into the platform automatically if you're using a V1 form. If you're using anything else or existing forms, existing plugins, and you just want to integrate, you can do that either with webhooks. WooCommerce, for example, is a great suite of webhooks that can send triggers, notifications send webhook triggers when different activities happen for different people. That can all be then captured by V1. You can automate whatever you want to it. Again, touching back on those cart abandonment type examples. On the other front, we do want to add, and we are looking to work towards complete site end-to-end tracking. I don't have any more details on that yet. Something that we've discussed internally, broadly scoped out, but is something that will be coming most likely in the new year. Can we adjust and change our user journey after automatic deploy? Yes, that is part of what makes V1 cool, is that you don't need to go through every single automation and fix them if you just wanted to make an update, if you wanted to update the entire journey. So for the most part, jump into your automations tab. And again, this is a little complex. I'll do a proper tutorial on this in a separate video that we'll put on our own YouTube channel. What you can see here with the Journey Manager, this is how the platform essentially looks at all your different contacts and how it will automatically move them between the different stages. If there's anything that you want to change from this, it's as simple as clicking on the filter, clicking on the action that happens, and moving things around. I think a common use case will be around the e-com space, where if we looked at that pirate model, often revenue and retention is inverted for e-com versus what it is for SaaS. So SaaS tend to retain their free trial users before those users upgrade to a paid plan, as to e-com want to convert the users first, so get the revenue first, and then bring them back as the retention piece. So yes, all this can be changed, customized, no code needed. Perhaps some tutorials will be needed, but they will come on the YouTube channel as well as the community or anywhere else where you can find me.
I believe Niru has a school.
Niru, which payment gateway does it have? At the moment, none, Niru. Payments is one of the pillar pieces that we want to implement. There are some challenges. I can maybe talk to the challenges next, but the way that we've decided to run with this for now is you send whatever data from your payment gateway to us when you want. The challenge that we had with looking at integrating with partners like Stripe, or like your Paddle,
PayPal,
or PayPal, is they don't have all the data pieces that you need to run growth marketing available in their webhook data, like in the first trigger when a sale happens. What you would have to set up, or an easy sort of workaround to this, is you could set up like with Zapier, Pabbly, Make, and then the V1 integration. You could do something like when customer pays, go into Stripe customers, find the customer and their email address, send that customer's data and any other data that you want to V1. This is the next use case that we're working on with that Shopify integration example, where I'll be showing you how to
integrating just one thing. Integrating payment gateways with the growth marketing platform won't make sense, because then you're not collecting payments over here. Thing is, you would basically integrate, like Alex said, you would have an inbound webhook from Stripe, and then you would create a customer inside this, so that customer will be created, and then accordingly you would run the workflows to that customer.
Yeah.
If it's a failure, if it's a success, depending upon that, your flows will resume. But I think having a native integration with Stripe, I think won't make sense for a growth marketing platform.
Yeah, well, we tried anyway. that needed more homework before we set out on that journey. Yep. No, that is 100% correct, Karan. And Nirad, I'd also say your platform, so wherever the users land after they pay, generally has all the data that you need to send to V1. We will have in this next upcoming Shopify integration and tutorial the ability for you to take customer, not just the customer data that comes from a transaction, but also the payment data and their values, so that you can gradually start to calculate lifetime value of each of your customers, and then again be able to look back lifetime value by marketing campaign, lifetime value by automation, lifetime value by where they are in your funnel, and so on. Is it possible to make a student portal and teach? No, it is not possible to make a student portal and teach. If you do have an existing platform, or you're using a platform like School or Circle or Discord like we are using, or Discord's a bit different because it doesn't have the email that it gives you upfront. Any platform that you have that collects user data and that you can access that user data, you can then feed that data into V1 over one of the integrations that we have, and then you can run your nurturing, bringing them back to the community, activation, retention, or any of the different types of marketing content to them. You also can then save money on the ads front. So essentially, if you are running ads for your student portal or your community, once a student graduates, V1 can create an audience for them that feeds it into like Facebook or your Meta ad platform to remove them from that ad set. So you're not paying for ads for people that have already converted. Yep. Will it be easy for us to integrate the data? Yes. Yep. Your question earlier was, I don't remember which platform. I remember we were talking about the real estate side of things. One sec. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Yes, it is. It's relatively easy to integrate the data. Again, I'd refer back to the integrations piece that we have over on our help desk here. But essentially for each of the integrations, we do pretty in-depth, like step by step, exactly the thing that you need to click on to get to the next step. And like what you need to fill in or what other data there is. So I'd say if you're running a basic setup or you're a smaller and newer business, for the most part, you're probably just using the calendars, which are automatically integrated, emails, which are automatically integrated, social media platforms like your Facebook and Instagram, which are also automatically integrated. And then perhaps some event tools or some third-party tools. Then you can connect them without having to use any code, Zapier or any of the other integration platforms, or with Webhook, which is also quite easy to do. Does it support lead scoring when we create an email campaign? Yes, you can create automations that change the lead score or are triggered based off a lead score. All of this can completely be customized. We don't use a whole ton of lead scoring internally at V1, which is why I don't have a lot of good demos for it. But if you jump into your settings, you have the option to manage your different scoring. Here we go. Here's a typical sample example. You can add new rules, and then in the automations, you can also access all of your scoring. So you have the ability to increase, decrease scores through automations, or create triggers or new automations based off of a specific score. Phew! Tongue twister. How many funnel website templates will we have? Will you add regularly? So, Phil, we won't have any website templates. We're not doing landing pages or website designs. We will be adding new use cases that are valuable to you on a weekly basis. So the use cases typically include multiple templates across emails, automation flows, and forms. I think if we looked at the one that we did last week with RB2B and the visitor analysis, that is now in everyone's account. They'll find all of the email templates there, as well as the ability to create the RB2B flow. If I look at the Shopify integration that we're working towards, that will have the emails that need to go out for cart abandonment, like all those types of templates that you would need. Essentially, any use case, when a use case comes along, whatever you need to roll it out as fast as possible will be included in the account. How many subdomains can we add in one funnel? So you can only have one subdomain in the sense that each account is designed for one brand. Also for things like your calendar. So your published calendar, that one that I showed you a little bit earlier. If I go over to this page here, you'll see this loads up on a subdomain. So this, you can only have one per account. Same with your email sending domains. There's only one base email sending domain that you can use. There's a couple of other iterations to this, but it's a whole deeper conversation. For the most part, one account, one brand. If you can use the one brand for more than one company, so say you have a parent company, everything that a user would see other than the brand name can be changed. So for things like forms or emails, you can change everything end to end on the forms or on the emails. And then from there, you can change everything. So it doesn't really matter which brand or which company it's from. So you could have as many forms as you want for as many domains as you want, as long as you had those domains and you had those landing pages that you put them on. But otherwise, one brand, one company as a general rule.
Makes sense.
So this still does not include the cost of sending emails, correct? How do we manage sending between cold and warm emails? Cold emails can hurt rep and deliverability for more important sending, like to customers and clients. Derek, that is spot on. So every account does have its limitations when you first sign up. There's also systems that we have in place that you don't see that looks at who is sending, what are the delivery rates. If we get a user in the platform that just starts spamming and things go to spam and it hurts or impacts the deliverability, that account then gets locked and we have to reach out and be like, hey bro, what's up? Why are you doing this? For the most part, no cold email, especially at volume. Unless you're doing smaller or like semi-warm things like website visitor identification, in which case you know they're already aware of you. The only piece missing is them giving you your data. They tend to be run at lower volumes anyway, because not every single contact that is visiting a website gets picked up currently by these tools. And in those cases, you can run those which are semi-cold on the same thing. Bulk, big, large volumes of cold emails. We do this as well internally. We don't use V1 for it. We use a dedicated cold email tool like NewReply. Instantly, there are many other tools out there. You can run your cold email campaigns on there, and then when you get a response or someone qualifies, you can automatically connect and feed that into V1 for the continuous nurturing, company, project management, that type of thing. How will emails be charged? Great question. So I'm just going to open back up the documentation here. If you jump over to our docs on help.v01.tech, you'll find a category called RocketHub Partnership. And in here, you have the pricing tiers. Again, I'll just touch on this super fast because we've talked about it before. We do charge a pay-as-you-go model or bring your own model for things that cost V1 as a business on a per use case. That's because we want to be here for the long run. We don't want to go away in a year's time and run out of money.
No heavy hearts.
Or heavy hearts. Yeah, no heavy hearts. So this has all been planned out, scoped out, spec'd out as to what it looks like as a model if we continue to white label tools, or what it would look like on a model if we pulled everything out. Well, we're already pulling everything out, but if we take our database as it exists today and use just our own custom-built tools on top of that, how can we sustain it? So with that, pricing is on the help page. We can check it in the chat. You can find it if you just ask on the website, ask the little bot, hey, what are the RocketHub pricing tiers, plans, blah, 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 and it will send you this help article as well. But essentially, you get the same rates as we pay at wholesale cost. Just the lifetime deal holders, not the MRR customers. Don't tell them. But lifetime deal holders, you get whatever costs us money, that cost is just directly passed over to you. If we add WhatsApp add-on, how much will we charge per month? I don't have a hard answer for this at this stage. I do imagine that there will be both a monthly charge. No, I imagine there won't be a monthly charge for WhatsApp, but there will
usage.
Yeah, a usage-based charge. I do believe if I go back into their docs, they also charge on a per usage or per time API.
So I think in the bid you have to pay for the usage for WhatsApp. Again, the support can be given by v01, but I think however you want to use it, how many messages you want to send, how many workflows you want to create in your own platform, you can do it and just pay. But if WhatsApp comes in, it will just be a platform support. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Karan. So just to reiterate to the crowd here, when it does come along, it will be a pay-as-you-go model, but you won't have to pay extra for the WhatsApp module. Any of these modules, upgrades, new features that we release, available to all lifetime deal holders now and in the future. Francois, back again. Can we use any contact variable in the email and lead communication? Yes, sir. It's simple. I like that. I can show you a quick example here. Just jump into a dummy blast. And I'll show you what that looks like. This email is, hopefully this webinar email is an okay email. Bit of a shit email, but that's okay. So from here, you've got a little button up here, custom variables. This will pull from any of your custom created variables or any of the variables that the system has access to. So you can do contact first name, your business name, the sender's name. You'll see in a lot of our templates, these are dynamic so that things like your logo, your name, who's it coming from, who's it addressing, they all just use dynamic variables so that you don't need to replace them inside of the templates. Does it support giving scores to students like BrainCert does? So you could build this out, Niru, if you wanted to. I'll give you a quick big picture of what it would look like. You create an automation. When a student does XYZ, that is plugged into the platform, or it's triggered into the platform over whatever integration that you want to use. And then the automation, what it does is it adds a score, removes a score, or changes a custom field or a value against that person's contact. And then the next steps or separate automation can be, hey, only send this email to students with this score. Or with a custom variable, send this email, but change this part of the email based on whatever score they've got in that field. Faz is saying, you're providing a base strategy workflow nurture journey and then provide analysis of a success. What about alternate strategy suggestions and builds based on the analysis? Faz, that's something that we're looking towards. I'd say that like I said at the beginning of the call, the idea of you opening up the platform telling you what's good, what's not good, and how to fix it, click a button, it personalizes the shit out of everything and does the best, most optimized beyond what's humanly possible to do. That version is like a year and a half away, like 18 months. We're still quite far away.
I would advise that, whoever wants to use the platform, use it, make money, and you already have a very good UI UX already into the platform. So just use it, make money, and get a users. Like, of course, the team is working to kind of get out of it, but again, it's a long-term thing. Yeah. They are playing the long-term game; they're not being a short-term game over here. I can tell you right now. It's of course it's a big vision from where they come. So go ahead and use it. I would want to see you posting that, oh, I converted my first 100 users into 10 paying customers. Like, show me that. And then let's talk about the custom build, in the future. That's what I want to see from you.
I would be super down, Karan. Anyone who gives you a use case or an example or gets a win out of the platform, I need to figure out.
He will host them in Vietnam. Like, he'll give you a big party, man.
No, but we can't. I'd be super down to doing something like that if anyone has some good ideas, some good suggestions, or some good shares and showcases. It will not go unrewarded. We'll leave it at that.
And as we're doing it on LoudEgg, so you will get an egg from Joe.
Yes. Yeah, I'll send you some eggs. Custom eggs.
Custom eggs. Thank you so much. Yes. Can we add custom links and iframes in dashboards? You will be able to. In Deprete, you cannot just yet. So the first update that will roll out, I believe in the next 2 weeks, will not have the ability to add custom links and iframes. The one after that will. And then from there, we're looking to move away from what we have licensed for dashboards to something that's custom. So as we're looking towards the end of the year, the dashboards piece of the platform will get one of the biggest sort of facelifts. Say integrations, dashboards, templates type piece, they're the biggest changes that you'll see in the coming months. Can we add social planner in it? Social planner is something that we've been considering. It's something that we use internally quite a bit. It's not currently an option for anyone on the platform at this stage. What I would say is, of the functionality that we don't currently have, it is the highest contender and the one that is the most likely to get pushed out to everyone. When it does get pushed out, or if it does get pushed out, this will be also available to all lifetime deal holders. For people to understand why we don't just keep injecting more things that the tool can potentially do and be possible, it's because we don't want to fully commit or fully bind ourselves to being exclusive to Lead Connector as a backend type service. The more of their systems that we add at the beginning, the more that we need to support on our own tools in the long run. So there's a lot of consideration that goes into what gets added, what doesn't get added. And it's why I can tell you off the bat, we're not going to have things like proposals, invoicing, project management, landing page builds, those type
Doesn't
of
make
things.
sense. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We already have like free tools that can do all of your invoicing and stuff. So you
That's
don't
right.
need that. What you need is just make money from this platform. That's what you need to do. Just figure out how you want to do it. That's it.
Yeah.
We're going
but
on
we
an hour and a
might-
half. You guys still good to answer some more questions?
Yeah, I'm super chill, man. I can go all night. You need to tell me when
I'll
to
just leave the
stop.
stream on. I'll just leave it on for the weekend.
Yeah. Pick up with the soju.
We can just sleep right now like this and then come back on the weekend. Oh shit,
You still going?
Phil is asking, is there a way to know if a workflow didn't work, where exactly the mistake was made? Yes, there is. If you jump into any of the workflows, I can show you this actually. So there won't be any data in these because, or there might be a little bit of data, but it's a relatively fresh account that I'm showing you today. Inside of your workflows, you have the enrollment history and the execution logs. In the execution logs, if there are ever any errors in your workflows, they will populate here. Also looking into the option to have admins notified when workflows or automations run into errors as well. Stay tuned. Can we get leads from Facebook, LinkedIn ads directly? Yes, you can get leads directly from Facebook, LinkedIn. So Facebook lead ads, which is also Instagram lead ads. So Meta, LinkedIn leads ads, TikTok lead ads, are all supported out of the box and will pre-populate all the data inside of V1. Can it automatically reply to comments for Facebook or IG? Yes, it can. Phil, it's super early in that side of the platform. So like I was saying a little bit earlier, most of the AI stuff will be a focus for the upcoming year for a variety of reasons. I've explained a fair bit throughout the video, but if I just have a quick, this will be in your account. So when you sign up and you first go into your automations and you open up your account, you will see inside of your awareness flow, a flow that looks like this, which is a templated reply to comments based on which page, which post, what they're commenting. And then you can also run that through GPT.
For that, I would recommend you to run an automation platform would be a better choice for that, which only handles the Facebook part of it, which does automation replying, because then you would have specific access to APIs and all. This platform doesn't serve that purpose wholly. It's just one part of it, very small, tiny part of it.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of the AI agent type work, you can expect to see this really kicking off in the next year as we build out that side of the team. Can we connect it with 11 Labs? You have so many good questions that I was not prepared for. I'm going to have to say no on this one. I don't think so. I'm assuming this is back to the AI voice thing. I'll just be super transparent. AI voice and the sales side of things is not the biggest priority at this stage. I'm not saying that won't change, but as a platform as a whole, and we spoke to this, I think, on our last live stream, look at V1 as like the growth marketing engine, and everything that then ties into growth marketing will gradually start to become a functionality of V1. Growth marketing in itself is quite new in the space. Like it's something that only just now they're starting to teach at universities, and it has become a standard amongst growing software companies. Before that, it was all just growth hackers and a lot of the pirate type shit you see around. But it is getting established. It is becoming the way to build a business that scales. And the things that is becoming mainstream on that front in terms of how it gets applied on the business side is what we're applying on the V1 tech side. Great question here. Does seat mean sub account? No, it doesn't. Every LTD account is one account only for one brand only. Seats are users of that brand. So if I looked at a typical team, if I gave you as an example, the type of MRR customers that we work with. So we work with companies that tend to be 10 to 50 employees in size. Of that, generally, there's about 2 to 5 marketers, and they're around 1 mil in their recurring revenue. they're just hitting that, or they're entering that phase where they start to really try to scale things up. Of those teams, we typically see a couple of sales guys get on board because they want to have access and they just want to see what all the marketing fucks are doing. Those 2 to 5 marketers as a seat, and then a couple of support or people that live in the customer success side who help track, manage, onboard, and keep things connected. Those are what you'd be using for your seats. Francois back again. Is there a way to use a picture as a variable, for example, in a form where the lead uploads a picture and then reuses the picture without contacting them? Don't know why I'm so sneezy tonight. I apologize. Thank you, sir. Or send a different video link depending on the particular segmentation using logic, for example. So, Francois, I can tell you 100% for sure that the video link is possible as of today. You can do this with custom logic, custom fields. The picture, let me come back to you and confirm. So reach out to me either on Facebook, Discord, or via the chat bubble. I'll create a little ticket and then I can follow up on this one with you. Don't have the answer off the top of my head.
Here's the question. I guess a lot of people waiting for it. I don't know if you want to answer this more towards the end.
No, let's do this now because we're at an hour and 40 minutes in almost. Let me just give me 1 sec. Forgot to turn on the aircon and Vietnam heat is starting to heat.
Yeah, it's starting to get here too. I just put the fan on.
Is this a connection to GHL? So for those who don't know, GHL is go high level or separate. The workflow view looks identical. Sorry, I just joined. Great question. I'm sure there are a couple of these in the chat as well. So I'll answer sort of big picture on our approach. Got here,
Yeah.
if it's separate, if it's not.
Before you jump into it, I would just say this is the one answer you would refer to for all the GHL questions in this whole thread. So This is the only one answer Alex will be answering to. So please listen to it very, very carefully. Yeah.
Yes. And Karan, Joe, and Antoine, as well as chat, if I miss anything, if there's anything deeper, I'm more than happy to answer as well. So I'll start off by saying, yes, or how I work this. When we built V1, one of the first things that we wanted to look at was like, hey, who are the main competitors who exist in this market that with the problems that we're trying to solve? So that growth marketing space problem. And then which tools can we use to get to market as fast as possible, validate the problem, but then which of those tools can we then build upon that are reliable companies that are likely to be here in the longer term that we can rely on while we continue to build our own things and monetize and get to market and line up all of the other pieces. So the process of this was us doing like literally hundreds of interviews. You'll see this even if you look at Facebook groups, not so much the LTD groups, but if you're in startup groups or SaaS groups, whether it's ones that I manage or other groups like Sydney Startups and stuff, you'll see me poking around about 3-4 months ago on a weekly basis, trying to see if this was this growth marketing type problem was a problem that other marketers are having in the space that we're interested in. Once we'd validated that it was a problem, we took it back and forth between those guys, investors, advisors. We even met with Karan and Charlie like 3 months back with like, hey boys, this is something that we're planning. This is the research that we've got. You guys know the space really well. What do you think? And we worked off the feedback there. Eventually, we're like, okay, we know exactly what we want to build. Now, how do we build this without investing a year's time in engineering work and then trying to raise money and go to market? All right. So we looked at then how existing platforms work and how they can handle it. And I showed it in one of the videos where I spoke to this, but we've got essentially like this crazy spreadsheet with 50 plus competitors. So all HubSpot, Salesforce, who are the more popular? Sendinblue, so Brevo, the ones that were on lifetime deal, Boost Space, all of these different platforms. We went through every single one. The ones that did offer onboarding calls, we did the onboarding calls with them. We went end to end to figure out, can their platforms solve the problems that these growth marketers are having in a better way than what we had an idea of, or can they solve them at all? From there, we then looked at, okay, how do we build this without building everything from scratch? Because let's not reinvent the wheel. There is stuff that exists. most SaaS tools that you will see in the market today, whether it's a lifetime deal or an AppSumo, you might not know, most of them are built out of either an open source project, a boilerplate, so like type of SaaS, Code Canyon type script, or a white label tool. After testing a couple of different platforms, so also open source, white labeled, and just shit that we could license, we ended up settling on Lead Connector, which is Go High Level's white label version. Why did we settle on them? Because they got us the closest to where we needed to be able to do that growth marketing piece, which is really the ability to merge your customer and user data, your marketing data, and then your payment data all against a single contact to then be able to run at scale automations. Lead Connector had a lot of this, not a lot of those automation pieces built in, but it had the foundations that we needed to go sort of get to market fast. But it's also a behemoth and came with a lot of other shit. That's also why we didn't go, like it took us a couple of months to get to market to where we are today. And that was to carve out, to change the platform and to work with it in a way we can build what we need to build on top of it. For those in the community who are unfamiliar with Go High Level or Lead Connector as a platform, Go High Level is a very popular all-in-one solution for agencies that allow agencies to mold it and to build it into a version that works well for their customers. We've probably taken this a step further beyond what they originally expected, but it's something that works very, very well, and that opens up to an ecosystem down the road that we can also tap into should we want to. So similar to the WordPress space where you have plugins and additional things you can add, these are things that we are building for our own platform into V1. Down the road, depending on where the market goes, it opens up the opportunity for us to decide, hey, actually, we do want to keep working with more agencies. So let's take what we built for V1 and make it available or license it to Go High Level users so that they can also use it on their side. Or if we don't want to work with agencies and we decide, no, we're going to stick with our individual customers, in that case, we wouldn't continue with the Lead Connector front and we'll just continue with our own custom builds. Have I missed anything?
Yeah, no, I know you've answered this over and over in all the groups. And
No problem.
You've been super transparent about it. At first, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, what's going on here?" And then I saw you answer the question. You shared some knowledge on how like SaaS tools work. The one thing I did see come up is relying on a third-party tool.
Yes.
Could it affect scalability or security vulnerabilities as well? You know, where you kind of have to rely on them.
That's a very, very good question. So it does, but not more than anything else that you see. So in our case, right, for V1, there's a couple of systems that are running in the background. So there's that Lead Connector piece that I just spoke to. There's also Cloudflare that does all your caching, also a lot of the script handling on like the custom stuff that we've built. Supabase then is where all of our data is stored. So all of our customers, users are signing up. That's also stored on a separate platform. If any of these go down, the platform goes down. Okay. Dub is what we use for URLs. But I say this with confidence because this is the same case for any software company in the market. Everyone relies on middleware or wholesale or third-party tools in some way or another. I don't think there's a single software company that has everything built in-house. And should the providers go down, we'll figure out a way to solve it. But like I said earlier, it's also part of why we're not plugging in every single feature from Lead Connector into V1. It's because we want to know that we can support what we are offering to our customers.
Work on the core. Yeah.
And if you see it, right, I mean, the AI is not being sold as the face of the app. Right, AI will come in much later, and we know that. Of course, we are business people, so we know that. Okay, AI takes money. It takes a lot of money. You won't realize it, but eventually the costs are a lot. So once V01 is funded and it has good money coming in, then all the other features related to AI and stuff will be implemented. That way, you have the sustainability of the whole model running, for the long term.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you, Karan.
I've watched your other sessions and videos, Alex and Antoine. I gotta say this: if people aren't interested in buying V1, you guys are super knowledgeable on building a SaaS tool. I've seen you could we should do a session in the future just about helping other founders, like what goes into it, how you get AWS credits and how you can go wrong, not scaling the right way. You seem to cover all these little things, which is great. This knowledge to share. That's what we want also in the LoudEgg group, to share like knowledge. Even if someone says, you know what, I don't know if I need this particular tool, but the founder brought up some really good points, and they take something away from that, and then maybe they come back, they invest in the founders, which is what we try to do. Try to really invest in the founders, their vision, not bother them too much.
No, for sure. We've been in the space for a little while now, so it's a little over a decade. I think lots of good lessons learned. What I would want to say, and I do want to reiterate for the community, for the LoudEggs or any of the other communities that we're engaged in, the little founder network, it's not a huge network, even like somewhat huge, but in every town, you'll have your little founder communities, and then you'll start to integrate with them. You'll have online founder communities, and you'll start to meet with them. It's not a massive ecosystem, and a lot of us do know each other, and we are more than happy to help each other out. So my side comes from the growth and product type startup world. If there is any questions you ever have on those fronts, I've probably been through the same shit show at some point before. But then I'll take things on the flip side with Antoine here. His background is all in the VC, the investor type world, finances, ops, more strategy type things, which is a whole other ecosystem of shit to deal with.
Plus the automotive stuff in Stuttgart, Germany.
Absolutely. If there is ever anything, whether it's on the business front, the startup front, the getting introductions, pitching to VCs, we've been through it all before, and we're going through it all again. We're more than happy to help out if anyone else needs help, and bring you into our little ecosystem of founder chickens.
People reach you on Facebook, LinkedIn. There's an email on the website, or the chat, I guess, on your website.
Yeah, so Facebook, we've been pretty active on Facebook. LinkedIn is probably the best place if you want to keep track, stay in touch with me and Antoine outside of the LTD space. We do a lot of the LTD comms and LTD work during this campaign here on Facebook, but then the broader work will likely happen on LinkedIn and YouTube that targets more of the MRR type persona. If you go there today, you'll probably see nothing related to LTDs, but that world is more exclusive to investors and the MRR type, and it's a very different world with very different types of users. But yeah, reach out on LinkedIn to either of us anytime. Like, do not hesitate, do not shy away. Can we integrate Zendit payment methods? Yes, no, maybe. It depends on what you want to use it for. I'm assuming, Phil, that they go through a payment and then they land somewhere. You're probably better off integrating where they land, unless Zendit is just a great integration piece. But essentially, you can run this over webhook. Most platforms start as webhook as their first integration because it's so broadly, like it's what powers the internet. If you have a webhook integration, either to or from, you can run both of those through V01. Vlad, hey man, good to see you again. Welcome back. Interpret, can you share its API documents? Yes, but not till the end of this year. We don't have public APIs available yet. If there is a super specific use case that you need, you can reach out to me and we can try to work something up. But otherwise, the broader API stuff, wait till the end of the year. Francois, what is your estimated time that we need to spend setting up a workflow with 6 steps? Are there any easy ways to test all the steps of the workflow? Where was that? I just found out.
It's the pirate funnel.
I gave up before. Okay, yep. Yeah, what I'd say, man, is just go ahead and create a campaign to begin with. So I'm still sharing my screen here. Instead of adopting, if you just want to try something to start,
I can jump into this and explain to Francois.
Yeah.
So if he sees there's 6 steps, right? So in your application for v01, you would see 6 different. You have one big flow, which is the pirate funnel, but then you have individual flows as well for awareness. All of these flows. So if you think that you want to operate in silos for all of these 6 flows, do it separately. That way you won't be able to you won't be going mad, and you can even fix and customize things in each of these different flows and not be lost in the whole big one, right? That way you can kind of operate pretty easily. You can be lost in the big one, but you won't be lost in these individual ones because they are very, very small. So you can like operate all of them and customize it. If you think that it's a lot for you to handle.
Absolutely. I think Karan, you're spot on. What I'd say, I think it was François who asked.
Yeah.
I'd say, man, start off with what you need as the business. At the first thing, if you're just getting started, and this is a brand new company, start off with just collecting leads through a form and then running some basic welcome, thank you for signing up, here is the thing that you requested. Then every now and then send them a blast to keep that database warm. Once that starts to like snowball and move along, then you'll start to figure out, oh shit, I know that I can do this and monetize the audience this way. I know that I can do this and upsell them in another way. Implement then those step by step as you're going. Even if we have all the templates ready to go out of the box, just do what's relevant and needed for your business upfront. Even for us, in the case of V01 today, we don't use all of the 6 steps of the pirate model, just because we don't have the capacity to set them all up, run them all, maintain them all between just me and Antoine alongside all the product development at this stage. Again, that will change as our business grows, but you can really start with one piece that helps your business the most and then gradually implement the next pieces. Integration with WooCommerce. Vlad, we may do a custom integration for WooCommerce. I'm not sure for sure at this stage. It depends on demand and where the customers are at. What I would say though is WooCommerce has some pretty robust webhooks and documentation, either for the webhooks,
very tough,
or integrations with things like Shortcut, Zapier, Make, Short Triggers, Zapier, Make, and the rest. These you can already integrate. Just spend a little bit of time thinking about what data do you want to push and pull and when, and then just do the setups. I will probably have a training module live at some point in the coming month on how to think in sort of a growth mindset and how to figure out what to tackle first in terms of your integrations and automations. Mabel is back. So good to see you again, Mabel. I have asked a lot of questions to Alex last time. For this time, I don't have so many. Is the current setup for the trial the same for MRR customers and LTD? I recall you said you will be segregating features of MRR versus LTD. I'm assuming that's what's on the last line. So the features are the exact same. I am 99% sure that if you sign up for a free trial today, you get the exact same thing, which is pretty much what you see on the screen today with a more or less empty account. And just the templates and the journey is ready to roll. We won't be separating features for LTD customers and MRR customers. Like I said earlier on, it was the same for when we did Web Studio. Features should stay the same for everybody, especially on the LTD side. The only change will be in the amount of contacts that you have, the amount of seats that you have. We're also super big fans and advocates of the LTD space. I'm sure you guys have seen me around since probably like 2016. Here, your codes will not expire. You can change the email. You can resell them. Anything that helps to support the LTD ecosystem that supported us so much in getting started is something that I'm wholeheartedly behind and pretty keen to maintain. Like I said,
your Absol's biggest nightmare, man.
Yeah. Well, I've also been on AppSumo too, so I know what that journey is like, and that's also who I were at RocketHub. Faz, back with another good question. No membership course module or client portal. No membership course module or client portal. That is correct. Sorry, that's a statement from me to the question from you. But we will have integrations and use case examples with membership platforms like School. Is SMS coming? Telenext integration over Twilio, please. It's less than half the price. Derek, I'm going to write this down. Give me 1 sec so I don't forget it. TELNYX. I'll look into this, and if this is something that we decide to go with, 100%. We're still in the process of evaluating the different tools and systems, and whether to go with Twilio or whether to go with something completely separate. Any link to see all of those coming features? Yes. So I'd say the roadmap is probably due for another update towards the end of this week. What you'll see a lot of on the roadmap at the moment. So if you just go hub.v01.tech, this is like our sort of overall what's going on, what's planned, and what has recently been released. So you'll see new articles like this when we release new things. You'll see smaller, less complex articles of like all the bug fixes and changes that we release on a weekly basis. Feature requests, you can submit your own ones here. And then the roadmap is what we have, but it's probably due for a little bit of a refresh. What you can expect, as I was saying earlier, in the next 60 days or so is a lot more use cases, templates, and integrations, shit that you need to get to value in market as fast as possible and get a return on your investment into V1. Looking into the new year, that's when we'll start looking at a lot of the more bigger features and functionality as we bring in our own engineers and dedicated resources specifically to growth functions. How many workspaces per tier? Another great question from Aaron. Only one workspace per tier, my sir. For now, if you do create or want to create multiple accounts or have multiple workspaces, today I would ask you to use different emails if possible, because we don't have the ability to switch at this stage between accounts. This may be something that we implement in the near future. It's a relatively easy thing for us to implement should we need the ability to switch between workspaces. But it's another thing that needs to be added and then maintained. And given that we're not yet sure if we're going to stick with just agencies or if we're going to offer something different to agencies, I would prefer to not commit to workspaces at this stage. What's the biggest standalone features you're planning to add that won't be part of the whole white label system? So at this stage, as of today, the UTM tracking forms and the automated journey flows is the two most unique features that stand apart from the white label part. As we look into the new year, use cases, tutorials, training, resources, and templates set aside, we'll be first looking at the dashboards. Dashboards, SMS, WhatsApp, top priority. And then we'll see what's on the roadmap and what we get. It's probably a 50-50 between community and roadmap on one side, and then our advisors, investors, and MRR customers on the other side, so that we find a good middle ground between the two. I would also say, though, LTD consumers tend to be the more early adopter, come up with the features that the MRR guys don't even know they want yet. So I'd imagine it will be a relatively clean process between the two. Is there the option to export our own data in the future? Yes, you can already export your own data. Just jump into the platform, jump into your contacts, select the contacts that you want to export, click the export button, and you are done. Same thing for importing.
Nice. I think we got all the questions. They keep coming in. Oh, here we go. People are running. Need to run.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vesti.
If Alex wrote an examination, right, he would pass. Like he would get 100 out of 100.
Amazing session. I have to hire, I think, Alex to just do my sessions. For other walkthroughs, man. Can you be the actor that plays Joe Maracic in future videos? I need to hire you, and I'll just stay in the background and produce.
Let's do it. I much prefer doing this than the whole, because we do a lot of content creation as well, right? The video live stream, engaging with people, love this shit. To the moon.
Yeah, no, you're like the Bob Ross of doing the session, like very like just natural.
Just little clouds.
Little clouds. You have to bring like happy little friends with you, like a little squirrel or a bird, or
All right. Time to serve. Okay.
Time to serve.
So for the community, for the eggheads, we have a specific coupon code. We love eggs 10. So we have created today, and you get 10% off right now. The URL is very simple. RocketHub.com/d/v01. Pretty easy to just go and type in the browser. And I think we are on after this. I think we will post a follow-up post by, I think Joe can make it happen and then just post all the details we have kept. And anyone just go ahead and grab this. You saw it live. Like we have.
Are you guys doing is there a giveaway or no giveaway?
Yeah, I get Alex. No,
yeah,
I
we
get
can decide
and
later. Yeah.
I let Antoine do choose the people. He did one of the live streams before. It was one of the best things I've witnessed. So, um, yeah, Antoine, upon you. If you want to choose someone right now, go
Can you
ahead.
see the
I
chat?
chose last time already. Maybe now Alex.
Yeah, don't choose the same guy last time.
I choose last time already. Maybe today someone else choose.
You can always choose later by committee if you want, or take a vote, or if Alex wants to pick someone.
I
A lot of
do have
pressure.
someone in mind.
Oh, you do? All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to give, let's do this. Let's give an account to Mabel.
Nice.
Okay.
I know she's pretty quiet today, but Mabel got me through the last webinar.
Looks
If
more
Mabel's
more
still
like
here-
horror noise than a celebration. It's like people are seeing ghosts. Right?
Yes.
So Mabel won. All right.
Yes, if
Congrats,
Mabel's still here, I would love
Mabel
to give
deserves
Mabel.
it. Mabel's
Yeah.
been in a lot of sessions, webinars, and great comments, questions. So
Yes.
congrats.
And I'd also add, we will have more webinars over the coming week as well. If you haven't won something or you haven't got a discount, well, get the discount today, and then we'll do future giveaways in the coming weeks as well.
Nice. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. So check out V01 on RocketHub.com. Alex, Antoine, awesome session. People can bug you on LinkedIn,
Yes,
Facebook,
sir.
and
Absolutely.
yeah, let me know when we're doing the New York City meet, and I'll be ready. And maybe Karan can come over, or he'll pay for the trip.
No, Anil is paying for the
Us.
trip.
Well,
Anil
yes,
is paying for
Anil's
the
paying
trip.
to meet Nas. We're we're going to England for that meeting. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we'll do the V1 meeting.
Yeah.
Hang out.
But
Yes.
Joe, thank you so much for hosting us, man. It was an absolute pleasure. Your setup was exceptional. The live stream was super clear. The transitions, very cool. I loved it end to end. Thank you for highlighting the questions throughout as well today. And I would be more than happy to come back anytime.
Yes, please. We definitely have to do this again. And
Yes.
even if just a chat on the weekends, we can get a live session going. We'll talk about SaaS tools, Disney, cartoons, whatever. Amazing World of Gumball. Definitely check that out. Good for the kids, good for dads.
Yes. I love that, man. 100%. Let's plan something out. Otherwise, from tonight and from the heart, chat, squad, thank you all so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Ping me anytime, reach out anytime, and I'll see you around online. LoudEgg.
See ya.
All
everybody.
right.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Thank you all. Ciao, ciao.